You make them run on tracks. They are girl furries, and so they can only get each other boy pregnant. They can't get each other girl pregnant, right? Because girl pregnant is real pregnant.
None of them get pregnant because if you depicted them getting pregnant, the Yakuza would, come to your house and break your kneecaps.
Okay, but
Quentin here. I'm fine, babe.
This is Ethan. I'm gonna go. Don't worry, Devin's here. This is time. Let's rock and roll!
welcome to the Power Brothers podcast, where we talk about video games. We talk the exact same way. I talk differently in real life than I do on this podcast, and you'll never know
you'll
what
never
that
figure
means.
out why.
Hello,
Guys,
gentlemen.
I don't actually talk at all, except when I'm on this podcast.
Right, you are. You have taken a vow of silence.
Yep.
But you break it.
For I actually don't know anything about you outside of the podcast.
This is
well, he doesn't talk.
Like the garbage cast, the three of us.
Yes.
did,
yeah.
Where the podcast went into the Wild West. I believe, Harrison, you were the immortal Joe of the.
I feel like 20 minutes were spent talking about the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Yeah. I feel like Devin
is
slipping.
Yeah, here's the thing. That's okay. That's okay because without Devin here, video games still exist and they're terrible. We just have one fewer people to remind us of that, right?
Yeah.
But
here's the problem. Okay, here's why here's the imbalance is that we are the perfect bell curve.
Oh, okay.
Right? Where, like, you're insanely negative all the time. And then Ethan, and then me, and then we get to Devin with his insanely positive takes.
Right.
And now we have, like, insanely negative, and then right here, and then me, and then here's Harrison coming out of left field.
Complete.
Yeah, right. What is
You don't know what I'm going
Harrison
to. Am I going to be insanely positive? Am I going to be insanely negative? You have
no idea.
I have no idea.
We only know one thing about Harrison is that his opinions will be trash.
Yes. Yeah.
Good. They do not matter.
He'll bring up Deltarune and Final Fantasy 14, and then he'll say, I haven't played another video game since 200004.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
Well, I don't know.
Accurate, actually.
Like I said, with our the Chaos cast, it was a nightmare.
Chaos continues.
And this is the Chaos continues. I didn't sleep for 3 weeks afterwards.
Right.
It was a traumatic
experience.
It's
only been 2.
I was about to say, exactly.
It hasn't been that long.
So we were pretty structureless last time.
Yeah.
And we now have to decide right here and now how structured this podcast is going to be.
Not at all. I feel like it's going to be slightly more structured, but not much.
Because of the presence of you.
No, just because the couch is balanced.
Oh, right. Okay, right.
Yeah,
this is sort of karmic.
Yeah.
It's
sort of karmic, but I do have a question for Harrison. It's a very predictable question.
Right.
What's wrong with you?
Right. What is your problem?
My therapist has asked me the same question.
If you make a title card called "What's Wrong with You,"
I'll have to ask Devin too.
That's incredible.
That's
right. What you playing?
You know what? I would just like to say, what is wrong with me largely has to do with what I've been playing.
I was about to say it's the same question for Quinn.
It's the same question. So, Harrison, why don't you start us off? What have you been playing? And you better surprise us, you jackass.
If I was to say, Dune Awakening again, then it would be really boring. So I have to pick something else.
There is one game.
Wait. I'm sorry. Okay. Let me interrupt. Let's do something fun where we all just say the same game as the last time we were asked.
Cool.
Hold
on. I want to hear Harrison's because he said there actually is something new.
Okay.
And then I've got a point to make.
Yeah. So there has been one game that I have played. Do not judge me, but it is a horse racing game.
Guilty.
Yeah,
but the horses
right,
are
furry.
anime girls.
Gay. Okay.
So circling back around to my earlier question about what
Yeah.
is wrong with
Yeah.
you.
All right.
You just
all right.
answered it.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you breed
It's
studs?
actually pretty fun. No, you
Is there
you
stud
don't.
breeding?
There there
That's DLC.
there isn't like eugenics, but you can have
Well, that's a
like
deal breaker for me playing a video game.
you can have it's de facto like eugenics, where instead of like, oh, like this character has a child, has their traits, this character is inspired.
So there is in effect stud breeding, right?
Yeah.
But it's not actual stud breeding because it's
Yes.
not their child. It's just a different.
Because
like
so
cosplay.
okay, so the game is called Uma Musume.
Right.
The characters are based off of
on TV.
actual
Racing
race
horses,
horses,
right.
Japanese
Yeah,
race
right.
horses.
Okay.
The Yakuza.
Hold up,
I
guys.
didn't know there were horses in Japan.
Hold up. We just entered the good timeline because
Yeah.
the alternative was they were based on Japanese women.
Yeah. Right. That
We're in
is
the
a
good
similar-
time now, guys.
The alternative is
Yes.
it was a game with horses that
Right.
are based on famous Japanese women.
I would just like to
Right,
point out that I left off on the word Yakuza.
Yeah,
Right, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Continue.
The
Only
Yakuza-
normal word you've said the entire
yeah.
pod.
So far, I didn't know anything else you've talked about.
First one.
The Yakuza
First one.
have they are heavily invested in Japanese horse racing. So because the characters are based off of like horses that they actually own, they're like they are very strict about like sexualizing the characters. They will go after like just random artists. And like threaten them to like break their kneecaps.
So do you like feel unsafe given your home
you-
activities?
No.
So you're playing a game made by the Japanese Yakuza, famous
Well, it's
for
not
their
made
human
by the
trafficking.
Yakuza, but it is
It's
made
wor-
in collaboration.
Here's the thing.
with
It's worse than
the Yakuza.
You're playing a game made by people whose desire to anthropomorphize horses into women
Yeah.
is so powerful that they're risking getting their fingers cut off by the Yakuza.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a new
This
level
is
of horny that is unprecedented.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
so to sort of help me understand.
It's legitimately just fun to like watch them race and like to like there's a thrill of like when your horse is behind. It just feels like it's more
right.
fun to
Right.
treat them like horses than it is.
Okay, I have to say that's exactly how I feel
It
about
is.
women IRL.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
It's fun to bet on them.
We ended the podcast only twice.
It took no
It
time.
took 2 times
at
a Devin
all.
up here.
It took no
to
time
end
at
the
all.
podcast.
So I'd like to look. I'd like to say something. If you're out there, I want to apologize to any horses that are watching this right
Not
now.
to women.
Yeah.
No. why?
Can I just speak for just
Yeah.
a minute on
Please.
this?
Love
If you
if you
guys
did.
could give me the floor for a second. Okay.
Of course.
So sorry, let me mute my phone. I think that was me. Hold on. Let me mute my.
That's the Yakuza.
None of this matters. Oh my
Want their
god.
horse back.
It's the Yakuza. They say we want our horses back. You sick freak.
Yeah.
So
Oh my God! It's the Yakuza. They said, "You down for dinner this weekend? I got some fingers I need chopped."
Oh wow. Okay. So these women are horses, right? And
Yeah.
these horses.
No,
so,
They are horse girls.
They're
excuse
horses
me. I've
or
got
women.
I've got the floor.
Okay.
So these horses are girls and these girls are horses,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
you own them and you make them run on tracks excuse
Okay.
me. You make them run on tracks. They are girl furries, and so they can only get each other boy pregnant. They can't get each other girl pregnant, right? Because girl pregnant is real pregnant.
None of them get pregnant because if you depicted them getting pregnant, the Yakuza would, come to your house and break your kneecaps.
Okay, but do they have children?
No.
They don't have children.
Don't have
Then who is inheriting the traits?
The other horses are getting inspired by
New horses get
Yes.
inspired by the old ones.
Yes.
So if this is a furry game where they don't even get boy pregnant, why do you like it? I know you. Right? Like,
I
what?
can't stop imagining. Do you remember, like, good lord, it's probably like a decade ago now. There was a game called like My Horse Boyfriend, and it's like this like it's a visual novel,
Mhm.
and the
Yeah.
guy is it's just a head I'm an
Like a
anime
horse head.
person over at horse.
I don't.
Right?
I'm amazed.
It
I
is
don't
one
know
of the
this.
funniest like games that's ever been made.
Sounds great.
He
I
just
mean,
looks in like horrible pain the whole time.
Here,
I can't stop
Yeah.
imagining when you're like, oh yeah, they're
Guys,
Yeah.
I have to say, like, I have a job
right?
and like a career.
Yeah,
And,
right.
And all of that is over if anyone sees this.
Yeah, that's correct.
podcast.
I mean, let's be. Let's
good.
be.
That's
all right.
fine.
Yeah.
Here's the
Here's
thing.
my place.
You know what? I understand what you're saying, but at the same
Yeah.
time,
You're
audios-
mortgaging my future.
No, you understand that audios of me gets clipped out of context
Yeah.
for the
I will.
TikTok,
By camera.
and people in the TikTok comments are like, I think this guy is racist, right?
Right.
I think this guy is homophobic. I think this guy is a capitalist,
So what?
right?
So guys,
And
that
they-
people
Yeah.
on TikTok very perceptive.
They're
is what
very
you're saying.
perceptive. So my point is that you know what? If someone just looked at our TikTok, they would obviously
They would
disregarding
only,
the other
They would only
factors,
see
they
you.
wouldn't hire me.
See, they
Yeah.
would only see you. But what are you trying to get hired for?
That's a good point.
He's
That's
trying
a
to
good
get
point.
hired by the Yakuza.
That's what I was about
I mean,
to say.
this
on
is
the
the
right
best
track.
audition.
Because
Kill Harrison right now, and you're in.
right. But
yeah.
okay, so you've been
So-
playing this game
yeah.
and you're enjoying it. You love to
It's-
bet on women and horses and treat women like horses.
Yeah.
That is
I
a
d-
reasonable summary.
I don't treat women that well.
Right, right.
No. The no. A part of it is that like you remember Fire Emblem
I'm sorry.
Awakening?
When I buy a girl dinner, I call it taking them to the feed bucket.
Yeah.
All right. I strap the feed bucket around their neck.
No, like you remember
My
like
girl
Fire
likes
Emblem
some
Awakening.
oats.
What's that?
Fire Emblem Awakening.
Yeah, that's the game that ruined Fire Emblem for me, and I have not played a Fire Emblem since I played that.
Okay, you guys remember Fire
Yeah.
Emblem Awakening, right?
I do.
hate
Yeah,
that
that's the game that
Yeah.
ruined Fire Emblem for me,
Yeah,
and
correct.
I've only played the Fire Emblems after it.
Correct. What?
That's a game that ruined Fire Emblem
Honestly-
for Quentin and became my favorite Fire Emblem game.
Yes.
I honestly think
So-
we could have a whole Fire Emblem podcast
Definitely.
one of these days.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But you were saying.
Like that's part of like I don't know. I just like there's a certain like fun like aspect to like it's just a numbers game really when it comes down to it.
Okay.
And that's part of the fun is just like the numbers game when they get skills that proc during the race. Like that's when like when they're like when they're falling behind and then their skills proc
right.
to where they like come out ahead of everyone else. Like that's when it's fun. That's when it feels like an actual like race.
Okay.
Were
You're
there-
sick.
were-
You're twisted.
Were there no other
Yes.
games with like horses that have those
you,
features?
You could have played a horse
None
racing
that were
game.
free.
You
Oh,
could have
well.
This
played.
game is
Oh, wait a minute. It's
There.
free.
Oh, never mind. You're
Just
actually
download.
really smart.
Yes.
For, and not.
Download.
Disgusting,
uh,
horrifying. You should be ashamed of yourself. Please send me a link.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I would like to just say
I'd
a
like to
game
download it. I'm
recommendation.
downloading it now.
Mhm.
Since you like sort of this, I don't know, the progression, the min-maxing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I would really strongly suggest that you play the first Tokimeki Memorial. There is a fan patch, but I want to say I don't know if it's come out. There is an official English release that was announced. I don't know if it's out, but you can play the fan patch for free. And Tokimeki Memorial is like the quintessential sort of girl game. It's absolutely terrific. At least the first one. I don't know about the rest of the series. I know that there's like quite a few of them.
Yeah.
But the first game is really, really fun, and I think you would
Now,
enjoy it.
fair warning, they're not horses in this game.
No, they are human women, but
They're
they are
human
minors.
beings. They
I
are
would
minors.
just like to say that I was just going to say I've only been playing Final Fantasy 14 Deltarune, but you all pressured me
knocked it out of the park.
into throwing
You know
something
what?
else out
Yeah.
there.
I
Hand of
appreciate it,
applause
yeah.
for Harrison. Thank
Give
you
some
for giving us
applause.
content.
I would just
Hooves.
And also, you've given
I would
us
have
a-
kept my mouth shut.
Yeah,
You're
right. You
right,
would have.
yeah,
you would
you
have
taught
stayed in
us.
the proverbial.
You all would never have heard about
You
this
would have
You're a
stayed in
real
the
one,
proverbial
Harrison.
video
Yeah.
game closet,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of things that are going to be cut out of context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just know that there's going to be like a
Yeah.
TikTok of me
Can't wait.
saying they're human women, but they are minors, right?
Yeah,
and it's
right.
going to get clipped, and then Cameron's going to Photoshop my face on a wanted poster inside of a post office, and she's going to make me look like an idiot.
Yeah.
And without context,
that.
and then people on TikTok are going to make fun of my stupid face. And this is what I live.
This is what
Yeah,
you
right.
look for
This
now.
is what I live for now. All right, Ethan.
So the thing I was going to say is, most of us have been playing through longer games.
Yeah.
And, most of us have nothing to report but sound.
Yes.
I
If you say the word Dune, I'm gonna jump out of this chair wondering about
really
what the
want
sand
to
is.
hear, and I'm willing to give up my time in this section
Okay.
to hear how the Strandling
Oh.
is going.
Oh heavens.
All right.
Yeah.
Because
Okay. All right.
I have questions
All right.
about the Strandling.
Right. Yeah. The Strandling has been going on, and the Strandling has worked its way from the top of my head down to my nuts. Okay.
That makes sense.
And it.
Kojima games often do that.
So I'll say that as an update from the last time I talked about this, there's much of it is the same, and so much of it is not. Okay. And I'll say that last week I talked about how like I experienced hardship in the game for the first time on accident, and it was the only time that I had fun, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to say this time a different perspective, which is that in the game, the times that I have the most fun is when I'm not playing it. Okay. And this was a new discovery.
Okay.
And I was talking to someone about this the other day, and they thought it was a little insane, but this is the thing. So in the game, in the first game, you had these zip lines, right, that would connect you. I talked about those, setting up the zip lines. It's really
It's kind of a late game.
It's a
thing.
late game thing, and it's really tough because the places that you would need the most are really hard to access, right? So in that first game, you go between those zip lines, and just when you reach a new point, you just hit the same button and it takes you to the next point on the zip line. This has taken it to a new level, because in Death Stranding 2, once you're on a road, you can activate an autopilot, right? Where the car just drives between points. So you load up your stuff for delivery, and then it drives between points and takes you there, right? And you can set the controller down. You can have a drink. You can grab some snacks. You can take a leak. You can crank one out while looking at pictures of Ella Burnell on Pinterest, right? Whatever your
It's so weird that we didn't hear that last one.
whatever your Kojima loving heart desires.
Yeah.
That's not enough. Because he also put in a monorail system where you can go between large facilities and load your truck up, right? And so you can have a drink, you can get some snacks,
do you think
you
he's
can crank your
calling us
hog
all,
to pictures of Ella Purnell on Pinterest.
Do you think he's calling us all
whatever
wusses? Is that why he's put so many different automation systems that are redundant?
I think that Kojima thinks that it will make things less fun for the player, and that's what he wants. But in reality, that's the most fun. And the thing is that I like this game in some ways, right? The gameplay is much tighter than the first game, and I love that. But I just think that it's so poorly implemented in the world, where none of it feels really that special, because like the combat being better. Well, what does that matter? Like I've had to fight people like 2 times. You just go around them unless you have a mission where you have to go in to steal something from them.
The original trailer for it showed off like stealth. Has there ever been any stealth?
Oh yeah, I mean you can always use stealth, but like again, the problem is it's like with the BTs, they've neutered the BTs so bad. So, they're hardly anywhere. Like they used to be everywhere in the first game. There were some areas that you just couldn't go through without sneaking past them or fighting them. And this, I think the only time I've been caught by a BT 3 times. And like one of them was intentional because I wanted to see if there was what the boss would be, because if you get caught by a BT, it drags you to a boss enemy, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't happen anymore.
Oh, that was like one of my favorite
Yeah.
things.
If you get caught by a BT, a big BT with like a giant sort of glowing hole for a head, I don't want to describe the shape. I don't want to do that. We've already talked about the horse girl crap, and I don't want to describe what this thing looks like. But then he slams down on you, right, with his hole, right, and then he sends you to the Shadow Realm.
Oh,
okay,
all right.
You enter the hole and you go to the Shadow Realm, and you void out. And I did that intentionally to see what would happen, and then just loaded my save.
Now,
but so there's all these things where it's like, yeah, it would be really fun if I had to sneak around, but I don't. You know how I get through the BT areas, right? I literally just ride my truck, and you can now shoot from your vehicles, right?
Okay.
And so I just go with
neat.
like a machine gun, and I just drive around and shoot the enemies and run away from them.
Huh.
Now I had
Super easy.
I had a similar problem with Tears of the Kingdom, where like got my goblin glider, got my gajillion different ways of nuking an enemy from orbit. And I realized like I was making the game unfun for myself. And so when I started my second playthrough, I was like, we're going just no weapon that has over 30 damage. I'm not using any zone eye tech unless I can find it in the environment. And I'm going to see if this game is actually just like unenjoyable or whether I was just messing it up. And while I still have like some like complaints about the game, much more fun. Like I really enjoyed my second playthrough.
Yeah, sure.
Where I was like, the bosses have really cool mechanics and the like fights are pretty rad, and they put tons of stuff in the environment for you to just like jerry rig together really creative things.
Yes.
I was kind of making it a little unfun for myself because I looked at all the options they gave me and I said, I'll take all of them.
Oh yeah, no, we had...
Maybe did you think this game could be fun if like you just never
walked everywhere
use a road?
Yeah,
like,
I have thought about that. If you just walked everywhere, you didn't use the vehicles, and you limited certain things, you didn't go around enemy encampments, you always have to go through them or clear them out every time that they respawn. There's little things that you could do. The problem is that the game is designed in such a way that if you did that, I don't think you would be able to 100% it in any, like, I don't even think Sam can't carry that much stuff because I'm transporting now, the map is big enough that I'm transporting enough cargo that the truck bed gets completely filled up, right? With just things to deliver.
Well, you could drive the truck and just not auto.
Well, this is the thing, though, is that you can only auto pilot on roads, and you go at the slowest speed while autopiloting. And so there's advantages to taking control, but like not so much of them that you wouldn't. We had actually talked about Tears of the Kingdom off of the podcast, where I had said the most puzzling thing in that game, other than the story, was the fact they included the auto builder. Because the auto builder,
I think it was a late game. I think it was added like last.
It might have been.
In fact, I think being able to carry Zonai parts wasn't a part of the game at all originally, because every puzzle has the pieces to solve it nearby.
Right. Yeah. Right. And so that's why I say like the auto builder, where you can just spawn in anything you've made.
You can really spawn in anything now.
You can
you can spawn in anything.
Yeah. So the thing is that those have been the most fun moments because especially the monorail, you're up so high, you get a totally different perspective of the game. So I'll say that those moments, not just misery makes me enjoy Death Stranding 2, but also not playing it makes me happy.
I have a question.
Okay.
Last time I referenced this, I had a question. I wanted you to get a little further.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the cameos.
I still have not seen any of the cameos, unfortunately. How
memeable is this game? I'll say the reason I ask is I saw Fragile grabbing a little bug and then that's one of the greatest memes of all time.
Bug.
Which she did that in the first one, right?
She eats
in the first one. Yeah,
that's what you're talking about.
So memeable.
Okay, I see.
Right? Like everything Hartman says.
I feel like I've already seen just the opening, the baby eating the bug.
Yeah, the baby eats a bug.
Yeah, that was
while
great.
Fragile
that
is
happens
holding
in
him.
real life.
That babies do eat bugs
that's true.
in real life.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say.
Fragile feeds the baby a bug.
I have not played that much, but there is already so much Kojimbo posting in it that it's impossible not to meme
I mean, like
it,
right at the beginning of the game, Sam has an actual baby, not a BT, but like just a baby carrier, and you just fall. You can just fall down the side of the mountain.
You can literally run in a sprint and throw yourself off of a mountain while you're holding a baby.
In the game art part.
But there is a lot of stuff. The most recent example was I finally came up to a hot spring. Which the first game has hot springs. You can, if you've got a person on your back, like if you're transporting a person and you use a hot spring, like they get in the hot spring with you.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people online who are sex creeps.
Personally, you know them.
Would I don't know if you know any. Would take like at one point you transport Margaret Qualley right?
Oh, yeah.
And you can take her and bathe with her, right? And it was, people would take her to the other side of the map, to the furthest, the furthest hot spring possible. And you could do that. I haven't had to transport any people. You could also take dead bodies and drop them in there, right?
That's
if
all
you killed
I
somebody,
ever did.
right? You could drop them in
Yeah.
and take a swim with them. But
Weird.
if you do a hot spring, it has different effects in the first game, and you can kind of sit there and Sam will hum, a little song, right?
Right.
So I see this and I'm like, oh, familiarity, a hot spring. And so I get into the hot spring, and the little doll guy is swimming around, right? Because this doll, let me tell you something. I'll hold off on this until I finish talking. But just be prepared, because I'm going to have to talk about how I have had dreams about killing this little doll man. I want to drown him, right? The one that's Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus is the doll, and the doll is a spirit-possessed doll.
I thought Jesus was the bread.
He's the doll in this.
Okay.
And so I'm in the little hot spring. This is great. And then it says, your options, right? And it says, put a bucket on your head. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen if I put a bucket on my head, right? I put a bucket on my head, and then the hot spring flushes like a toilet and sends Sam to the Shadow Realm. Okay?
Nice.
You put the bucket on your head, you get flushed down the toilet. Okay, you and the doll man is like, he's screaming, right? The doll man is screaming. You get flushed down the toilet, and then you get reverse flushed up the toilet into a different hot spring, right?
Oh.
And Sam is like, what just happened? This is crazy. Hartman, you remember Hartman?
I do.
Right?
My favorite character from the first one.
Hartman has a business partner, right? Like a scientific partner who is a woman who vomits like the
Ghostbusters?
No, I was going to say like in The Exorcist.
Oh.
Right? It's like Kojima loves his film references. It's like this bright pea soup style, green vomit, and she vomits every 21 minutes. Massive amounts of vomit, right? And she's called the hydrologist. And isn't it hilarious that she vomits up liquid and she's a hydrologist, right?
Yeah.
She has a hot spring inside the building that she's in, and she's like, Sam, this is amazing. You were in one hot spring, and then you got sent to the Shadow Realm, and then sent back up the toilet to my hot spring. We need to study this phenomenon, right? And Sam's like, man. And then she's like, once you're done in there, come talk to me, right? Okay, could have ended just there. No, it didn't end just there, because then there is a musical sequence where the doll man goes under the water and he comes back up and he has a different face. And then he sings a song while Sam dances. And I just sat there like mouth agape, trying to figure out what was going on, right? And he sings this song.
Kojima made a game that if somebody tells you about it, you just don't believe that it's true.
Yeah.
And then when you play it yourself, you still don't
don't believe
believe
it's true.
No, if you told me you
what?
got flushed down, then flushed up the toilet,
Sing a song
and then a woman who vomits every 21 minutes called the hydrologist tells you that this is an amazing water-based phenomenon. And then there is a song and dance sequence.
It's the stupidest.
It's the stupidest game I've ever played. That was like, even for Kojima, that whole
was
sequence
weird.
of events, I was like, I don't know what he was
He's
what
trying
he
to
was
top
thinking
himself.
exactly. Yeah.
I've got
I
one
guess.
final question, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Have we seen the return of Guiji?
Okay, so I said this last week, and I just really want to emphasize this, that Elle Fanning does not want to wear shoes. She refuses to wear shoes, and it is a part of the plot that her feet are dirty. Okay? All right, I said this last week, but this is the thing that I think might have been lost from what I said last week, which is, that's all true, the feet stuff. But it's also true that she is an octopus, and she is Guiji. Okay?
Right.
So Elle Fanning she looks like a person, but she is actually an octopus.
Yeah.
She is also Guiji.
And she's in Death Stranding too. Yeah.
She is also
Yeah.
she is also playing
was
a character in
cast
Death Stranding
in- yeah.
too. It's amazing that it's based on a life story, right?
Yeah.
This is what happened to her before she was
I'm pretty
hatched
sure
into
they
our
copied
world.
that. I'm pretty sure they copied that toilet flushing story from my life story.
It might have been.
I'm pretty sure
but-
they toned
Exactly.
down her real existence
Exactly.
to make her
Right.
fit in with the game.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, there was this question of There was this question when the photos came out of the recordings, the press photos for Death Stranding 2, and it was showing off Elle Fanning and stuff like that. And she was barefoot. She was fully dressed and everything, but he was scanning her bare feet, right? Now, for those in the know, we all know it was just because Kojima is a sex demon, right?
Yeah.
He is a filthy sex demon who he pays women under the guise of working for him, and then he scans their souls, and what he does with it, I shall not describe.
He is a voluntarily celibate sex demon.
Yes, he's... It's a very... he gives off the vibe of, like, tried sex once, didn't love it, now is a fiend,
now
right?
Now is a pervert.
He's like a pervert,
some people who
right?
This is the stupidest analogy. But
Okay.
It's gonna work perfectly.
Right.
You know, some people who like they are raised Christian and then they leave Christianity and then they become real interested in the Bible, right? They become real knowledgeable about the Bible.
Right.
Kojima had sex. Left sex.
He didn't love it.
Real interested in sex, not doing it anymore.
He's done
interested
with it.
in sex academically.
He deconstructed his
He's
sexuality.
a non-practicing sex freak.
Yeah,
exactly.
So
he's thinking about it. He might try it again in the future, but
right
now
a lot
it's
of
just
research
not
on it. Take a lot of pictures.
Exactly. He might have some kind of coming to feet moment, right? Again, if you will, right?
That is the single
Thank you.
smartest joke you're ever gonna make.
Say that's joke of the day, right?
You'll never make a joke that's more witty than that.
You.
You'll never.
Right?
You'll never.
That was pretty good.
That was
very clever.
Thank you, folks.
I'm
Thank
disgusted.
But you gotta recognize the game.
But to answer your
that was-
question in more detail, she is Guiji, and that's because in the
You don't have to
previous
explain. You
game,
don't have to
no, but this is important.
I'd rather if you didn't.
In the previous game, Hideo Kojima, DEI Hideo Kojima, was Guiji.
Right.
But he was left ambiguous what his power of the goo was.
We also didn't see his feet.
We didn't see his feet, but we also didn't know what his power over the goo was. We knew that he was Guiji. It was confirmed in canon, but we didn't know what that was. That it was just like just like your sleep paralysis demon. You don't know what it is.
Ella Purnell is my new sleep
right.
paralysis
Yeah.
demon.
So
Honestly, that puppet now is mine. That explanation of everything about it made me want to kill him.
the trouble with Ella Purnell being my sleep paralysis demon is that having been paralyzed by sleep, I cannot crank my hog. So anyways, Ella Purnell. No, not Ella Purnell. I'm literally Elle Fanning.
I meant to say Elfin.
I know. I figured, but now you threw me off. Elle Fanning being Guiji is important because she commands the goo, right? She has special powers of the goo. Have you ever watched
She's Lord of the Goo.
Have you ever watched the Mystery of the Ooze, that Ninja Turtles movie?
Yeah,
right.
Turtles too.
This is her.
You can also see like some
right?
eyes in her mouth.
When she opens,
them up,
right. She's got a face inside of her mouth. That would be something Kojima would do. He'd be like, "This person's name is Mouthface," right? And she's
have a really creative name for him.
So she can go into the goo that's underneath the earth, and she's also a goo ninja, which means that she does know martial arts and she can kill people, and she also can make things old, right? I've aged 5 years talking about this. It's exhausting describing Kojima games.
Sense.
But
it's what the did they have like a pitch meeting and no one said I stop or let's pick two? They just let Kojima keep writing things off the board. He's like, what if she was an octopus? What about a ninja? She goes into the goo. She is Guiji.
She's Guiji.
She had no shoes, and then no one said, "Hey, we've got enough."
No, and the reason is that since he left Konami, there is literally no one to say no, because the thing is that Sony knows that he just prints money. Right? If you've got a Hideo Kojima game in the opening credits 12 times, because he always does, right? You're basically just printing money.
Yeah.
So they're not going to say no, right? When he says, so I want to get I want to get one of my Hollywood friends. I want to get a famous Hollywood director, right, who tolerates my existence and that I have met once, right? I'm going to get him in here, and he's going to play a guy named Tarman who has one hand. his hand that's missing, the stump is tar. How did he lose it? He was on a fishing boat with his son. His son went into the tar to become Gooigi because a bunch of goo people ate him, right? Where did the goo people come from? A whale's womb. Right? Were they born there? No, they just like crawled in there, I guess, right? They specify they were not born in the whale's womb. So presumably they either went through the mouth, the ass, or the vagina, all right? Or the blowhole. And it's disgusting, and I hated it, right? And then his son becomes Gooigi, and his hand, this is the part that I hate so much. His hand is still in the goo with the whale monster, the whale womb creatures that ate his son.
Is his hand Gooigi?
His hand is fully Gooigi, and this is my struggle with this. He says he can still feel his hand moving around in there, right? And it's disgusting. He's like looking for
upsetting.
He travels the goo looking for his son
And his hand.
and his hand. And it's like
a byproduct is his hand. He just will find his hand if he finds his son.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean,
They're in the same place.
They're probably close together. But the point
Yeah.
is that
Probably in a whale's
so
womb.
they probably crawled through a whale's
San
vagina,
Diego.
right?
Yeah, we were
Right.
all thinking
And
it.
so-
We were all
so-
thinking it.
you know, the game is memeable. It's
Mhm.
very complicated. As I'm
It's the
progressing,
longest way to answer my question.
yeah,
Thank you.
Wow.
as I'm progressing through the story, I'll say this: the story in actuality still has not gripped me.
Yeah.
In its being good, but it has gripped me in its being terrible. Right?
It's gripped you with a severed whale hand.
Yes,
Yeah,
a
that makes
whale's
sense.
a hand that came out of a whale's vagina has gripped hold of me very, very firmly, and I will someday, I presume, become Gooigi myself.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
Is Conan O'Brien in it? Has he reprised his role as himself?
No, but I will say, so they have made reference to Conan,
Oh,
and
okay.
maybe he's going to be in it. I haven't encountered everything, but he's not in it yet. But there is a character that's really funny so Conan O'Brien in the first game is, he's the comedian, and he lives with a cosplayer who it is stated that he has a platonic relationship with, and he just lives with her because it's, she's his cosplay partner, right? So he sews this hat, this otter hat,
Yeah.
that lets you swim,
Yeah.
right? And when you do, you make otter noises, and you like pretend like you're breaking a mollusk shell open with a rock so that Sam can presumably eat the imaginary mollusk out of it, right? And so that was in the first game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First game is
Sam-
kind of about going insane.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. So
Right.
presumably in between games, Sam looked at that otter head and said, I cannot do this anymore. And he burned it because you don't have it, right?
Huh.
So you come across this engineer guy. He's called I think it's the inventor, right? And
Original.
every time you get, you bring him cargo and you get your star rating up with him, he'll give you one of his inventions. And the running joke is that every single thing that he gives you is something that you already had invented in the first game. And he's been in Australia this whole time, and he did not know that these things already have been invented.
That's so
And so the
funny.
dialogue is always just like Sam he's like, I have remote stun bombs. They're stun bombs that you can detonate remotely, he says with an Australian accent. And then Sam goes like, yeah, I've actually already got these. You didn't need to make these, right?
Yeah.
And the otter hat is one of them.
Oh.
And they make reference to how this was already crafted. And what are the odds that you both come up with the same thing, right?
Huh.
That's really strange.
There's
So I'm hoping that he's going to show up inexplicably and be like,
I think he might be that guy secretly.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't
I
know.
know.
But
Fascinating.
Hopefully.
Well, thank you
So-
for catching us up.
What do you
on
think?
that.
Last point on this. Kojima said he changed the story of this game because he eerily predicted the future in the first Death Stranding, and he didn't want the thing he was coming up with to be the future. He didn't want to predict it again. What do you think
Right.
he changed it from? Can you already tell?
So, I think that. So again, this is kind of a spoiler, of course. So I mean, all of this has been spoilery. So of course, I hope anyone knows. Maybe in editing, we can say,
Yeah.
But a big part of the story is that the president from the first game,
Yeah.
has resigned, right?
Yeah.
And he did so like 8 months into his term.
Yeah.
And the reason is that America has been completely taken over by corporations, right?
Uh-huh.
And the UCA is employing complex delivery bots, right? And so there's not really any need for a government because everything is automated, and all the automated systems are being run by this company.
So he's not so much predicting the future anymore, but the past.
He's sure, but the thing is that I think that the original story was probably going to be about how the UCA went from, this sort of we come from a troubled past, but we're gonna try and rebuild. And in that rebuilding effort, they become really totalitarian, kind of fascist, right? And I think that he was probably thinking something in those terms, like more, because that's really Kojima's sort of wheelhouse, right? You look at Metal Gear Solid, and it is very much like a criticism of geopolitics. And I think that maybe he was thinking of a return to form with that.
Yeah.
And then he looked at the state of the world and the right-wing descent into fascism going on everywhere and said, I don't want to hit too close to home this time.
Oh.
And so instead, he said, this game's going to be about Elle Fanning, no shoes, dirty feet, Guiji.
Well, thank God for that.
But the last, don't thank God so fast, because the last time Kojima tried to not predict the future, he seemed to alter the timeline.
If he altered the timeline and we were headed toward Metal Gear Solid, the government takes over everything, and instead he altered the timeline to be dirty feet.
And I think Ethan's totally right. And I've woken up in a cold sweat thinking that Elle Fanning is going to show up with dirty feet in my house, right? Like, I'm terrified. Yeah. Harrison's horny. It's like my worst nightmare. Everything about it's horrible.
Right.
Sure.
Right?
Truly
catching us up.
That's all. Yeah.
On Death Stranding, the strangling will continue.
The strangling will continue. Before long, I will be Guiji. That was terrifying. You're gonna have to cut a lot of this out. Yeah, Ty, definitely. Game, tell us, Dune Awakening, what new sand?
So what was the last sand? Did I tell you guys about the radioactive sand? Yeah. That was the last sand I got to.
Then don't tell me.
I haven't been playing as much.
Let me just say this right now.
Okay, actually.
No, hold on. If there is no other sand since the last time you told me, do not talk about Dune Awakening. You can talk to us about it next week when you have some sand.
I had a different game.
We do.
What game have you played?
Oh, well, because I was going to tell him something about Dune Awakening.
Go ahead.
If this isn't sand.
But not about Dune Awakening. About Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Oh.
He tricked us.
A post-Butlerian Jihad. I guess that's what it's called. Because
we did build a ramp.
You can build bases in Dune. And at one part, there's the shield wall, which is the big rock wall that keeps the worms out of one part of the map.
Right.
And there's good stuff on both sides of the shield wall, but it's a big, long drop. So players wind up having to drive all the way around, go all the way up to get stuff, and drive all the way around to get the older resources, which are still useful. Me and Ty looked at that and went, what if we did it cooler? And we built a giant ramp.
We did.
We wasted a bunch of our base building materials.
Most of our money, realistically.
And anyone can use it because we are not weird creeps that put shields in front of all of their bases to make no one walk through them. We created a Tony Hawk style ramp, and we even curved it so when you're in your truck, you can't touch the bases together. They have to be a little
strongly
separate.
risk death.
Yeah, it's we changed the elevation and created one up and down, so you have to jump off of one, land on the other, and then there are sick twists, and you have to do kick flips as you're going up.
Yeah, sure.
And it's pretty rad.
Okay, well Tony Hawk's Pro Skater's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Listen,
there's also a punji pit at the bottom.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, of course, the classic punji pit.
That's right.
Do you remember the original Dune movie?
The David Lynch Dune movie we talked about how with the milking the cat.
Yes, David Lynch in his grave felt the energy of us building this ramp and said, "I wish I had put skateboards."
One of his worms almost ate me while I was building.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so what game were you gonna say?
I've been playing some more of Clair Obscur. Expedition 33.
Right.
I stopped because have you ever gotten to a point in a game that it's just so much that you have to put the game down for a month?
Oh, yeah. Okay, it was a lot to process.
It was a lot. I know Harrison has because he's never beaten Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Right.
But no, Clair Obscur had a Xenoblade Chronicles 3 moment where I had to put this game down. I had to pause and stop and reassess everything. But anyway, I picked it back up and started playing it again. I have I love almost everything about the game. I have two complaints with it: one gameplay, one story. I'll save those for a review I do one day maybe. But it's just absolutely phenomenal and fantastic. And I'm going to say, I think we should let the French make more than one game per decade.
Right, and the problem is that the French were told you can only make Rayman, and then they said we're not doing it anymore, and they never made a game again.
They never made any more games.
Well, I have to say, I have only heard good things about the game.
It is very good. It is there are things in this game that must be protected at all costs. That's what I'll say.
Okay. Yeah, the only negative stuff I've heard about it was on 4chan, and it wasn't for gameplay. There was a bunch of people that were like, man...
There's a black person.
Worse than that. Worse than that. They were like, it's absolutely terrific, but unfortunately, why can't you make all the characters fully nude? There's got
to be mods. It's
I'm sure. I don't know.
It's a PC game.
This was like right at launch because I didn't know what the game was. Right. And I just saw on 4chan people talking about it, and they were like,
there is a funny thing with the game where like unlocking swimsuits for all the characters is a thing in the game. It is ridiculously hard to do. It is like one of the hardest things, and the swimsuits are super tame.
Yeah, very modest. Yeah,
they're very modest swimsuits. It is so funny.
Well, this is my barometer here, though, is that the fact that 4chan were all like, it's the best game we've played in 10 years, but I'm really upset because you can't strip down some kid naked.
Baldur's Gate ruined them.
It's basically just like, okay, obviously 4chan is like perverted, disgusting, and twisted.
Yeah.
But none of their complaints were about gameplay or visuals or anything like that. And
it has one balancing issue with like your gear. The gear has a problem with its system, and there's a story point where that's pretty big. You're like, that doesn't make any sense. That there be nobody's acting the way they should to this thing that just happened. But having said those two things, I mean, the story and gameplay overall are just really phenomenally good.
And it looks good.
But it's just very heavy. I feel like I probably won't beat this game anytime soon, even though I'm probably 2/3 of the way or more through, because I just keep having to put it down for a while
and just process what you just saw,
and just to brace for the next thing. But yeah, really great, terrific game.
So I have a question. Would you say that? Because again, I've not really seen much. I've seen like maybe 2 clips of the game.
If you plan on playing the game, don't spoil it. It has terrific twists.
I don't know anything about the game other than, like I say, I've seen some clips and some pictures.
Yeah.
The game looks really nice.
Really nice.
Particularly the lighting system. Seems very, very nice. I don't know. I think it's Unreal 5, right?
I think so.
And they did a very good job with all the lighting.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like an Unreal game, which is an accomplishment.
Right. Yeah. And everyone says that the game is really, 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 really phenomenal. Like I've heard a number of people online say it plays better than any Final Fantasy game that they've released in ever, maybe. Here's my question. With all of these things in mind, does this, at a fraction of the price of Final Fantasy Rebirth, right, make you stop and go, couldn't we have done a little bit better with the budget that we had?
Oh yeah, I definitely think like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is one of my all-time favorites. But to be fair, this game is about $20 cheaper to buy and about $300 million cheaper to make, and it does make you kind of scratch your head and go,
how?
On the one hand, but on the other hand, this game is not that big. It is. It's about a 30-hour game.
Right.
It's not open world. It has like a world map. It is a classical RPG, so you can kind of see where the budgets went. However, it is because it accomplishes fun gameplay and great storytelling so well, it's an advocate for like less is more. We don't need more game. We need better game. Right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
We need a shorter, better games, and release 2 of them instead of releasing Final Fantasy VII as 3 games that are $70 a piece and have crazy, or release it as 6 that are cheaper.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Like 35 each.
Something like that.
And I've sort of levied this response about
or
Rebirth,
scale it back in terms of scope.
Yeah. Is that the amount that they spend on video games makes no sense at all to me because obviously, you know, Death Stranding is a very expensive game with an absolutely massive map, and every inch of that game looks unbelievably gorgeous, right? And clearly they put a lot of time into that.
Yeah.
But Final Fantasy 15 also has a huge map, tons of stuff to do.
Yeah.
Really, you can put so much time into that game, and it looks newer than Rebirth does.
Yeah.
And you look at that and you're like,
Rebirth is
what?
Rebirth. They did spend less money on Rebirth than. I think that it's there's obviously a to go back to talking about like Final Fantasy, they used an older engine on Rebirth. I think that is the another part of the key is you don't always have to use the latest and greatest technology. You can use some older stuff if that's more you're familiar with to keep costs down.
Death Stranding's engine is older.
It is older.
Right?
That's another great example.
Because Decima was made in when the Horizon game first came out.
But we both know that the budget of Death Stranding don't go to the graphics.
No, it goes
to the feet.
Yeah. No,
I knew somebody who was selling feet picks for $80 pop.
Yeah, right.
Let me tell you something. Kojima pays by the frame.
Oh yeah, right.
Definitely.
No, that budget is going just for Kojima's fantasy folder, like nothing else.
I mean, like it just with the actors for Death Stranding probably cost as much as any of the other games we've
But
talked
Harrison,
about.
you were going to say?
Oh, well, it's funny because like I was actually having a conversation very similar to this with some friends last night in regards to Final Fantasy 14 and specifically Square Enix, because Square Enix. Yeah. You know, the past like decade, probably longer, they've had like overbloated projects like that cost just like millions and millions that take forever.
Yeah.
They come out, they sell the game for like $80 and it's like a flop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's largely just a problem of like the entertainment industry, like as a whole, because as the entertainment industry has made more money has been invested into it. They need more money to come out of their investment. So projects need to be bigger and they need to make more money.
We live in a perpetual growth economy. Everything must be growing constantly.
Yeah. So a lot of video games nowadays, like they need to make billions of dollars. Yeah. So they need to put, hundreds of millions of dollars into it. And that creates these like Final Fantasy, like Mario Kart World was one of the examples I used because that game took like forever for them to
Mario
make.
Kart,
and they put a lot of, to make up for the cost of the development. They're now charging $80 for that game, which is
completely ludicrous.
Yeah, Nintendo like they have said like they're going to look into like sort of like mid-sized projects, smaller games that are shorter but also cheaper. And that's just kind of but that's just part of the problem with like because it's not just video games.
We did used to. The problem is I feel like it kind of loops around it on itself because we did used to have like a multi-phase economy when it came to video games. You had your big AAA games from your big AAA studios, and you had your small games from your big AAA studios.
The funniest,
and you had your mobile games. Nintendo's handheld consoles have always been cheaper.
The funniest thing to me is that Square Enix. And we're back, guys. That previous segment was actually we were given an NDA by Square Enix and the video game companies, the industry as a whole. We're not allowed to talk anymore about how they make expensive, crappy games.
That's a really funny joke. Topic of the week. There we go. All right, we're back with topic of the week.
Topic of the week.
Dip your sensuous claw in the bag and give us a topic.
Yeah, just one.
This one is from Devin.
Oh.
He's still here with us.
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah. Sorry, hold on. Should we wait till Devin's here?
We should wait till Devin's here.
Yeah.
Don't put it back in. You got to grab a different topic.
Make sure it's a different one. Yeah.
All right.
No, I read it and I was like, that's a Devin topic.
That's a Devin topic.
Definitely a Devin topic.
All right. Who's this from?
This one is from Todd.
All right.
It's me.
Games where you are the bad guy.
Ooh.
Games where
I already
you
have one.
are the bad
Games where you are the bad guy.
I already have one in
All right.
mind.
Yep. I've got. Yep.
I figured we needed more topics that were actually topics because it's always like a question or something. But I just want to talk about games where we're the bad guy.
Yeah. That is a fun topic.
Yeah, that's a fun topic.
Harrison?
Wolfenstein. No.
Oh,
no.
Harrison, you thought of one immediately, so start us off.
Deltarune. I will not elaborate.
Okay,
right.
never mind. All right.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Do you have any second examples of games where
I'll
you play the
think of
villain?
one.
Okay, we'll come.
Deltarune.
We'll loop back around to Harrison.
Yeah, loop back around.
Yeah.
And
because if I explain it, it'll be a spoiler.
It'll spoil
and
it.
I
There's
want
lots
to
of-
play it
right.
Do you want to exclude games where you can choose to be the bad
That's
guy?
I mean, like not necessarily,
No.
but
That's something for us to explore.
But
Yeah.
that's something for us to explore. But I am interested at some point to talk about games where, yes, you do not have a choice. You're just in this game, you're the bad guy. Do bad things.
Yeah, because I think that there is something very fun about when you play like a role playing game like Knights of the Old Republic, and you're like given two options, like say that her smile is nice or rip
Kill
the
her.
baby out of her womb with your teeth, right? And those are like the two options, and they're so ridiculous that that's kind of fun. Or in a role playing game that's better written, you have evil options that are more nuanced, right?
Sure.
And that's
Baldur's
all
Gate,
fun.
yeah.
But I think with the sort of spirit of this question is when they don't give you a chance to be
you just are the
to
bad
be
guy.
a good guy. You just are, right? And my example, of course, is Metal Gear Solid, Peace Walker, and Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes, specifically those two. And the reason Phantom Pain, of course, there's an element of that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because Phantom Pain kind of tones all of that down.
Yeah.
Right? And in Peace Walker, you know that you're playing as the villain because obviously Big Boss is the villain of Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. So you know you're playing as the villain, and this is your villain origin story.
Yeah.
How did Big Boss go from Special Forces soldier to evil guy who runs a military, base and eventually a whole country?
How did he get to where he can command the bigs?
Yeah, this is correct. How did he get so big?
Yeah.
Right?
How did he
why
defeat?
do the bigs listen to him?
What did he do to defeat the boss baby?
There you go. He shot Alec Baldwin before Alec Baldwin could shoot him, as I like to say.
He's got to be fat.
And I gotta say,
for the first
and I
time.
also
You don't like to say it.
Definitely
You just said it
libel.
for the first time.
And I also should say that joke is referencing something that is already so out of the public memory.
Yeah, right.
That, But, I have always said that you really don't need Peace Walker and Metal Gear Solid 5. You really get the villain origin. This is the Mushmouth podcast, and I just went Pentecostal and started speaking in tongues.
He did.
You already get the villain origin story
Right.
from Metal Gear Solid 3.
Yeah.
Right? You know exactly what led him to be a bad dude in Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. But Peace Walker is just sort of like, let's see what that actually looked like. And the same goes for Ground Zeroes, where now you are enacting the boss's will via creating essentially a state where soldiers from around the world can go and live in constant warfare.
Do you want to know something funny? Is that my example is going to be kind of similar in some ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll look forward to hearing it.
There's going to be. I just want to say that now because there's going to be an interesting parallel between
here.
these two. Yeah.
Well, and seeing that Big Boss is like, in Peace Walker, he recruits a child soldier. Yeah. He doesn't really think about the ethics of having another child who's not a child soldier, but just as far as he knows, is a child. On board this horrible base full of soldiers. The sort of crux of it is that Peace Walker is Big Boss being presented with moral qualms, picking them up and throwing them over his shoulder. He doesn't care.
Right.
You're painted as the hero of your story, while it is acknowledged that the things that you're doing are
you're
not
you're
morally
fighting the
solid.
worst guy.
you're just a
You're
bad
guy fighting the worst guy.
And the worst guy, of course, is always the CIA in Metal Gear
correct.
Solid, right?
And in the real world.
And in the real world as well, right? The CIA. And so, you are in Peace Walker.
The CIA truly is the greatest enemy of the people, of the common good, of the government, and of the CIA.
Exactly.
Right.
And like in Peace Walker, you're helping out communist revolutionaries.
Yeah.
But it's not because Snake cares about, supporting communism in South America. He has a military company and is using it for really his own goals.
You turn on the KGB as well.
There you go. And so,
or they turn on you, I guess.
Right. Well, and it's a whole thing. And
It's
did
a
they really?
Kojima
Yeah, it's a
plot.
Kojima plot. But the point is that you, unless you are, completely illiterate for, story illiterate, right?
Yeah.
You know that the things that you're doing are not very pure.
Yeah.
Right. And then with Ground Zeroes, it's the exact same way, where you know that what you're doing, you're there to kidnap a child so that he doesn't give intel on you to the CIA, right? Yeah. The motives are not pure here, right? Mm-hmm. You want to kidnap 2 kids, and that's basically the plot of Ground Zeroes.
Right.
You know that you're not the good guy, but you can't help but follow this story where it leads. And Kojima, he's such a master at presenting you with a story that most everyone else could not cut it.
Yeah.
But the fact that he makes you take this role of villain, and you know that what you're doing is oftentimes very wrong or otherwise impure, and yet he can convince you to root for these awful people. And I think that that's one of the things that makes a game where you play as a villain so good, when you can both know that you're bad but also root for yourself.
That's a good point.
Did you have another example, Harrison, or was the
Yeah, so I did come up with one.
Let's hear it.
With Delta, I'll comment on Deltarune briefly, without trying to get too spoilery, but also to give like some context as to why the game. It's sort of implied that like the whole goal is to get you to stop playing the game. You the player specifically.
Yeah.
Because Toby Fox loves his meta narratives.
He loves them.
Yeah.
He's
so in a sense you're playing the game and you are the bad guy. You are the force that is like interloping on this world.
Yeah.
The other example is another indie game. I don't know if any of you all if you remember or ever played Braid.
Very briefly.
Yeah.
Yes. I didn't beat it, but I know how it ends.
Yeah. The ending, like that final level where you're going through it and you're helping the princess escape, and then the game like forces you to rewind and you realize that like, oh, she's running away from you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're like some creepy stalker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
That is a great twist to a game ending.
Yeah, that one's interesting because the idea of playing a game where you don't know you're the villain is fun, because obviously when you play the Metal Gear Solid games I was talking about, we already know from previous games that Big Boss is the villain. Right. So like, but with this, like with Braid, that's a fun idea, going the whole time thinking you're a hero.
Yeah. Well, even just like that final stage where you're helping her, like you're thinking that you're helping her escape, but then like it forces you to, it's able to use a game mechanic to show like there's another way of looking, there's another perspective of looking at this same situation, where from one perspective you are the hero, from another perspective like you're actually the villain.
That is a really creative use of game mechanics, which I have to say I feel like is oftentimes the rarest thing in any game, is that where they really use their game mechanics to the fullest in the story.
What's the game you have in mind, Ty? 'Cause I don't want to. I've got sort of two. But
I'm gonna call out a recent game that I feel like didn't get enough attention, and it deserves it, which is a game called MechWarrior 5 Clans.
Okay.
It's just had an expansion pack. Really terrific game. I feel like it got overlooked because it was released in not the best of states, which is unfortunate. It's from a smaller studio. But it is really terrific in that like it's in this universe, the storyline where there's a lot of lore, and going in, you know that you're playing they not just as like the bad guys, you're the worst of them,
right?
And you don't know, if you're not familiar with the lore, you don't know this, and you come in as these kind of fresh-faced people who don't know anything, and the entire game you're just doing war crimes and justifying, these horrible things. And some of the people in your team are more moral and they are having problems, and other people are more dogmatic, and they are very like sticking with the cause, and you are kind of stuck in the middle, but you are not. It is not a like choose your own adventure kind of story. It does have elements of that at the very, very end, but for the entire game, you're doing galactic war crimes and massacring like entire planets, and it's terrific fun.
That sounds like fun.
No, it is. It is actually just terrific fun, and the funniest thing is that like if you are a fan of that series. If you're a fan of the previous games, or if you're a fan of the novels, they've written them over the course of like the last 30, 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
There are these big events that stand out in your mind, and a lot of them, like one of them's called the Turtle Bay, happen in this game, and you get to watch this like unfold as a disaster that is pretty much your fault. And so knowing the lore and following this series makes it even more fun to be like the villains that caused all of these, all of these things. It's really interesting, and I like it a lot. It was a bold decision not just because there's this temptation, I feel like, when you are the bad guys in a game, to give you like the most sympathetic bad guy that you possibly could.
Yes,
right. Like this bad guy was, had all these horrible things happen to him, and they were, justified in so many ways, and they just went a little bit too far. And you could do that in MechWarrior. There are people on that same like team, on that same like side that you could play as and do in previous games. That are much more sympathetic and much closer to a moral gray. They have a better reason for doing everything. But instead, they picked the absolute most villainous, like unredeemable, just bad guys. And I think that's interesting. That's a thing that I don't think games do as much, is just let you be bad, let you do the bad without even the characters in retrospective try to justify it to themselves, but it's very clear that there's no justification for the things that are happening, right? And it's great. It's a really interesting twist. It's not even that it is a story-driven game, but it is not like a super expensive, high production value game. Go buy it right now. The 200 people maybe who watch this video. It's like $40. It's a terrific game. A ton of fun. Just had its first expansion pack.
Nice. Yeah. Well, and I have to say, I don't know if they came out. Didn't they come out with a I had it in my head and now I've completely blanked on it. Hold on.
He's got it.
Science fiction book series.
Expanse?
No.
Dune?
No. There's a movie adaptation.
Star Wars.
No, but Starship Troopers.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't they make a Starship Troopers game?
Probably.
They have made a couple.
Probably.
Well, and Helldivers is basically, right?
Basically.
Because I think about that, like I haven't read the books, but I think about that movie, right? Where, basically all of our characters are awful.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
They're all awful, but that movie's really fun, and it paints the main character, Johnny Rico, as being this really heroic.
Buenos Aires, and I say kill them all.
Right.
Yeah, and it's very fun in its presentation, which is
Very
in
campy.
contrast to how awful the contents of the movie are.
Right.
And that's very fun.
Yeah.
But, that's one where it's not presented as like this person, they came from the slums and they, the only thing that's going to lift them up is fascism, right?
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's not really. He's in like a normal school, and there's obviously tragic things that happen, but he's from the start,
Right.
he's in this awful society and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And those stories are fun.
Yeah.
Right.
MechWarrior has a good setup for that too. When you get into the clans,
I love
like how they got to where they were at makes a lot of sense of like why they would see the rest of the universe this way.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Ethan, give us one.
So I'm going to give you two because one of them is a little too short to kind of make a lot of sense out of. Is the first one is a very obvious one, and the second one's going to make a lot of people mad.
Well, give us the short one.
Yeah, the first one, the short one is Hitman. The thing I really love about Hitman is they give you these long explanations for why the person you're assassinating is literally the
really
worst cretinous human on the planet, and they deserve to die for a whole bunch of reasons. Like they're hired by all the people that they've hurt or something, right? As all this, and then you realize that like you can like shoot the cleaning lady and hide her body in a dumpster, and it doesn't affect the at the end when they go, "Good job, 47. You made the world a better place," right? You suddenly realize that like there isn't a bad like outcome to how many innocent people you kill because you are also kind of a villain. It doesn't matter. Eventually you have like
you're very
going
amoral.
after bad people.
Yeah.
Sure. Like eventually you are targeting people who like up the chain, who really deserve to like be stopped. But what you realize is that like the sheer amount of collateral damage that you are not punished for makes you a villain. And the interesting thing is you can be the hero, but you also don't get rewarded for it.
Right.
You can just shoot the bad guy and hide the bad guy's body, and no one knows you were there, right? And only people who've done horrible things die. Rad. Cool. The game doesn't make a moral judgment on how many people you kill.
Right.
And that is the thing I think that's so fascinating about it. It's like you were saying, where like the reason it's similar is that like its lack of making a moral judgment is the same way that like you play as the boss and all the things make sense from your perspective. The game simply isn't making those moral judgments.
Right.
It's just kind of putting them out there. But the real one I wanted to talk about, because I actually think this one is really fascinating, is a game where if you play as the villains, you don't know, and you only know if you play as the heroes that the other side you were playing as the villains. Okay. And that is Fire Emblem Three Houses. And a bunch of people are about to get real mad.
Yeah.
Because
they won't. They won't watch this video.
They won't watch this video.
I was gonna say, if I was watching the video and you just brought it up, I would have turned the video off.
Which is a shame because you would actually like Three Houses.
I don't believe you. We've had this conversation. I think you're wrong.
The thing is, it's the Renaissance Fire Emblem game. It just very little nonsense.
Very short-lived Renaissance.
Tell me about this golden.
So the reason
this golden spaceships, right? Don't they have space lasers?
No, don't be ridiculous. They're intercontinental ballistic missiles.
Yeah.
Right. They have intercontinental ballistic missiles in the game. The answer is yes, they do.
So I'm actually going to mention the intercontinental ballistic missiles.
Okay, go ahead.
So,
the Jewish space lasers in Fire Emblem. Of course.
When you play
go ahead.
when you play as Edelgard's side, it's like a secret route where you side with her. And it is a little shorter than the other routes. And the catch to it is that everything from her perspective feels very justified.
Sure.
And there's a point when she even tells you, like, hey, the like big battle that like the cinematic that opens the game, she's like, that was actually just like this one person. She just wanted to take land from the other guy. She just wanted his kingdom because he was a rival kingdom. And it's basically how she thinks like dragons are interfering in the affairs of humans because they just want to meddle. They want to control humans. And she gives you a lot of reasons to believe her. And then because you're like helping the real villains, Edelgard's like, yeah, one day we'll turn against them and we'll destroy them. Yeah. There's a point where the villains, you kind of get off their chain a little bit and they warn you like, hey, you're supposed to be doing our bidding. And Edelgard, she's like, kind of convince her to do this thing that's away from what they want. And to punish you, they destroy one of your cities with that weapon.
They nuke
The
it.
ICBM.
They nuke it, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's because of the way they frame it. They process it as powerful magic, right? They're like, we use this powerful magic to destroy your city, right? Edelgard's like, well, we can't let our own side know that like it was us that did it. And so she called, only you and her know. And you call together a meeting of all the other characters you've recruited, and Edelgard gets up there in front of them and is like, yeah, Dimitri and the Rhea, the people you're fighting against, she's like, they have a new weapon and they destroyed our whole city. Yeah. And all of your characters are like, oh my God, they're so monstrous. They killed all those people. It's like, you're like, don't. And what happens is that like you trick all the other characters because you assume that like, well, if they knew the truth, they would like have questions. They can't have questions, right? And it's the one big moral gray moment that stands out.
Yeah.
When you play as Blue Lions, you actually defeat those villains by accident. The real villains of the story, you beat them by accident because they're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you kind of pincher attack them and you kill them before
not knowing who they are.
No. And so like the villains who are pulling Edelgard's strings just die halfway through, and it doesn't change the monstrous things she does. And you uncut basically everything that she tells you in the Black Eagles route, where you play with Edelgard. In Blue Lions, you don't get told it. You find out the truth about it, and she is lying about all of them. And it is a great, an actually phenomenal example of how you can get caught in an echo chamber and get radicalized.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many people just picked one route and played it. And if you just picked Black Eagles, Edelgard is just, oh, she's so sympathetic and she went through all these horrible things and people were so awful to her. And then when you play the other routes, you realize that like her anger at people is misplaced. She doesn't like the church, not because it's tyrannical, but because it doesn't support the Empire's power. It acknowledges the existence of the kingdom and the alliance. So it acknowledges that these are not rebellions against the Empire. These are states. And Edelgard doesn't like that. And she just lies a bunch. It wasn't a land dispute. The dragons were being wiped out. It was not just Rhea like taking land. You find all these things out in person. And what's great about it is you don't have a voice in Black Eagles to tell you that any of this is wrong. So you have no reason to question it. If you play it first, you go into the other routes being disabused of the things you learned in Black Eagles. And if you were attached to the characters, you instinctively resist them. You're like, I don't know if these things are true. I think Edelgard still might have been right. You will like justify it because you become attached to these characters. You bought into the propaganda. If you play her route last, it's obvious that she's not telling you the truth. Right. It's obvious that she's the villain. But like in her route, she's assuming like, well, we only do bad things because there are these villains who pull our strings. But in Blue Lions, they died. And she still did the same things.
Yeah.
It's genius. It's genius to take this idea and like by crafting the story that way, they can really create this simulated radicalization pipeline. Where if you don't get information outside of the pipeline,
mm-hmm.
the like sympathetic, well-written anime girl character so just pulls you in. You go, oh my God, it's so, she's just the perfect character. She went through so much stuff. She's a great protagonist. And then you take a step back, you hear one other side of the story, and you go, oh, wait a minute, this person is a pretty cut and dry villain.
Yeah.
That's what I think made it genius. It is a genius. Yeah. Like there's lots of games where you play as a villain and it's obvious. There's lots of games where you play as a villain and it's like interesting. I've rarely seen one where the goal was to get the fan base to disagree on whether or not it was the villain, whether or not you're playing an evil route. Mm-hmm. If you put it all together, it's obvious. If you just play through one, it's so hard to pin.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great writing.
Well,
Yeah.
one of my favorite Fire Emblem moments is when Marth rides on an ICBM and he swings his hat around yelling Yippee-ki-yay.
Yeah.
And then he destroys the Japanese, I think.
Yeah.
I didn't play
Yeah.
Engage, but
No, I'm pretty sure that happens in Engage.
yeah, I didn't play it,
Oh,
but-
right.
Yeah.
The only good Fire Emblem game
Yeah.
they've made.
Yes, of course.
Yeah,
No,
at all.
You're thinking of Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, that was a great topic,
That was a
Ty.
phenomenal
Thank
That was a
you.
very
Yeah.
good topic. I'm glad we didn't read Devin's topic
I know.
that we cut out of
Would've
this
been
episode,
nothing
but you know,
disappointment.
thank goodness. All right. Well, if you liked this podcast, which I know I don't have to ask because you know
I didn't.
know what we just did for the last while. Okay. But if
Yeah.
for some reason you didn't watch this podcast and you skipped to the end, then hit the subscribe button
Yeah,
and the like
subscribble.
button and
Please.
share this with a friend, with a colleague, with a family member,
With a
and
lover?
if you're brave, with your priest. And
Who might be your lover?
check out also our TikTok. We have a TikTok.
We have a TikTok, and
account.
if we ever find out who's running it, Cameron's a dead woman.
We've made this joke 3 weeks
I'm
in a row.
gonna make it every time we advertise the
3
TikTok.
weeks in a row.
You gotta stick with it.
It's power.up.bros.pod, P-O-D, on TikTok.
Go
So check
find
that
our
out.
TikTok.
Yeah.
And do you comment on TikToks? Can you comment?
You
on
can.
TikTok?
I don't-
I'm not on
I've never been on a
TikTok.
TikTok.
I don't have TikTok
Go to our
either,
TikTok
but
and comment the word Guiji.
Guiji.
comment Guiji on this account,
Guiji.
or on this episode in the comments, and
Yeah.
also on our TikTok.
We also
And,
have a YouTube channel.
Oh yeah,
That's- we have a YouTube channel, which you
I
are
think it's
watching.
the Power Up Brothers.
Yeah,
sounds
well,
right.
I would
Some-
just-
something gay like that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Our YouTube channel is actually the Completionist.
Right. And
Yeah.
I'd
Go
just like to say,
unsubscribe from us.
go
Our
name
name
on
is Pro Jared.
Yeah.
whether you're on TikTok
All
or
of
on
us.
YouTube, I hope that you'll go in the comments and while drooling, post a comment that says, "Is he really against DEI?
Yes.
Durr? Does he really not like Joe Biden? Durr? And put that in the comments and make yourself look like a moron.
Also, hello TikTok.
Yeah.
Also, hi TikTok.
Hi, TikTok.
Hi.
Because that definitely didn't happen on YouTube. He's definitely referencing.
All right.
All right,
And that's
y'all.
it.
That's it.
Good
guys.
night.
Good night, y'all.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Get
Can't
outta
you see
here.
we don't want you anymore?